Levels. Good evening. I am Juanqui and welcome to my world. Hello, Naris21. Hello, Incredible Hulk. Hello, stalking ass bitches that are up in the clouds. I know you're here. I know you are here. Oh, Lord. Monday. Mondays are hard, right? And I had to bring some work home from the office, so I won't be before you long. But I do wanna keep you abreast of the situation. The peach cobbler that made its way through the family and ended up with Incredible Hulk reminiscing about the ancestors is back at it again. And I have an update. Miss View, I know you're gonna catch the replay later on. This update is for you. Okay, Miss View. I know we're looking for Miss View. Miss View, where are you? Miss View, where are you? Miss View, where are you? What if I stay doing that until Miss View walked in? Hey, everything is content, right? Everything is content. Anyway, I know she's probably gonna catch the replay, or she might be up in the sky. Who knows? Naris21, I hope you had a good day. Let me just see if she strolls in here. Or do you think we should hold it, Incredible Hulk, until we are face to face? Well, virtually face to face with Miss View. What do you say? Incredible Hulk says she might be in the she shed. Which is, by the way, climate control. She can control the climate from her studio, okay, in a whole other office than when the thing is, right? It's up to you. What do you want me to go ahead and release this, or do you need me to, be a performer and perform for the people just for a little bit? Because I have to. All kidding aside, I want to wait for her. Drop a bomb on waiting. My husband, the Incredible Hulk, would like to wait for Miss View, and thus we are going to wait. I am going to hold this until we are all together here virtually. So it ain't no problem with that. I do have some work from the office I had to bring. I am doing performance reviews for the team. Yes, this is true. So quite a lot of them. So I'm doing that. But Mondays are hard. I don't know what it is about Mondays. They drain the F out of me. Luckily, I am staying with my vitamin D regimen. I can tell you this. I have the energy. You can see it in my face that I'm tired. When I go to bed, I sleep like a baby. When I wake up, I do wake up energized. But it's just a weird feeling. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like I'm doing so much and I'm usually tired, but then I'm not tired, like drained tired, but like you could see it in my face and my body knows it's like taxing and the whole nine. So I'm just ready for these 13 weeks to be done. Okay? 13 weeks of intake in this thing. I'm just ready to be leveled off. And I would love to like know how long have I been deficient for. I don't think that they can do that, but I would love to be able to tell how long, because then a lot of things will fall into perspective. Like when I thought that I just wasn't performing at my optimum because of me, now I know that there was something else going on. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, I do have have a confession. Well, no, this is a gay boy in New York City seeking some advice. We haven't done that in a minute. Okay, from the unbothered homo in New York City. Since we recently were visited by, and the health profile, all of that, they try to come through and read me his view, and I just wasn't paying attention yesterday because I would have read the shit. Somebody need some perspective. Friend told me he's HIV positive months after we had sex. Oh my God, I could only imagine. That sounds like somebody we all have seen up around here. Okay, no. This is a serious topic. This is a serious thing. Okay, could be considered attentive murder. So let me deliver this with the respect it needs. I met this guy on Grindr about a year ago. It was supposed to be just a hookup, but we actually became friends and have stayed in touch ever since. Incredible Hulk says, I would die. Well, actually, you could ask Deontay, what is he, We had unprotected sex once around the middle of March. We never had sex again after that. Sweetie, all it takes is one time. Let's get back to the text. And our relationship has mostly turned into a friendship. Yesterday, he told me that he's HIV positive, but has been undetectable for a long time and takes his medication consistently. I know that undetectable equals untransmittable. I know what U equals U means. I'm on PrEP and I got tested on June 5th. Everything came back negative, so I'm not really worried about HIV itself. Incredible Hulk is asking, was it a one-time sexual intercourse or did he get it from a phone? But don't forget, the fighting in the phone in the motel room. It was the phone gave it to... Now, this is the part that I think people who go about on this not disclosing their status, whether they're U equals U, P equals P, T for transmitter, which is, all of that, whether you are on your regimens or not, people who go about and around feeling so entitled that they don't need to tell anybody. We've seen some people through here. Young people, middle-aged men, like gay men from New York City, people who are on social services, they are on the housing for HIV infected and affected people, and they still go out and not tell their partners. Now let's hear from somebody who's on the other end, not on the I'm gonna get my rocks off, but on the one who's receiving this information after you straight up violated them and exposed them. The person continues to say, what I'm struggling with is that I only found out yesterday. I can't help but feel like I should have known before we had sex, so I could make that decision for myself. At the same time, I genuinely care about him as a friend, and I know how much stigma people living with HIV still deal with. I don't want him to think I'm judging him or rejecting him because of his status. I'm just conflicted. Part of me feels hurt that he didn't tell me before. And another part of me feels guilty for even feeling that way because I know the risk was essentially zero. Has anyone been in a similar situation? How would you feel? A fellow New Yorker says, damn, sorry, I feel like he should have disclosed this info. But also, did you ask any details before hooking up? Another New Yorker says, I'm in a similar situation, though mine was with uh, I don't know what that is. Oh, friends with benefits, who only told me after we'd hooked up several times. Ooh, ooh. Raymond Davis, Raymond Davis, Raymond Davis. Incredible Hulk says, essentially and zero are not the same. Zero is here, zero. Yep. Just like U equals U, zero is zero. Absolutely. Raymond Davis, Raymond Davis, Raymond Davis. In a similar situation, though, mine was with a friend with benefits who only told me after we'd hooked up several times. Raymond Davis, Raymond Davis, Raymond Davis. On the one hand, I understand that he likely faces lots of rejection from uneducated idiots and just wanted to protect himself from that by putting everybody else at risk. Let's get back to the text. While also still having fun. On the other though, it sucks being lied to about something like that by someone you have a certain level of trust in, and he essentially removed my ability to make a fully informed decision, which is beyond frustrating and not equal to rape. I do. So how your man, how your wife, how your kids rub up in here? Another New Yorker says, recently I had a similar experience as well, and it gave me a lot of bad feelings. Some folks here are saying U equals U, so there is no problem, but that glosses over the situation and communication realities. Everyone's level of trust differs, but it is not unreasonable to feel that if someone is not forthcoming about their status, you may also be uncertain about how candid they are regarding medication adherence and viral load testing. Undetectable is not a one and done thing. That does not mean they are being irresponsible, but non-disclosure can reasonably cast that shadow. With random hookups, the expectation is that everyone manages their own risk and does not assume they know another person's complete health history. That is not ideal, but it is reality. When people are dating or developing an ongoing relationship, the expectation of mutual openness changes. We look for people who care for us and are willing to be honest about matters that affect trust and intimacy. The stigma is very real and incredibly painful. It can explain why someone does not disclose, but it does not erase the hurt caused by withholding it. That part right there, everyone has HIV until proven negative. That comes from my husband, the Incredible Hulk. One of my earlier sexual encounters was with a man who was positive 20 years ago before PrEP, but he told me before we even kissed. His care and disclosing made me feel safe. I hope on that. Oh Lord, I hopped on that Hulk. I hopped on that with a condom like there was no tomorrow. Girl, it was just a hookup at a bathhouse. Oh, I had so much hope for this one, and I miss that beautiful human and still periodically rough one out remembering that experience. Listen, ladies and gentlemen. Listen. I am just this proves to you that I read exactly how it's put out. Okay, I don't, I just put exactly how it's put out. I don't be making it up or whatever. Let me do one more time. One more. Let me just see here. Here we go. I have to jump in here because a lot of these comments are demonstrating complete ignorance and are exactly what HIV stigma persists. What I need you to address is the non-disclosure. That fuck the stigma, the non-disclosure, the taking away the ability for somebody to make their own choice. Let's continue. Let's look at the actual facts. Ah, shit, here we go with the facts. If partner A is HIV positive on medication and undetectable, and partner B is HIV negative and on PrEP, they are on completely equal footing. Both individuals are taking full proactive responsibility for their sexual health. In this scenario, there is mathematically zero risk of transmission. If a medical condition poses zero risk to a partner, it remains private health information. No one is inherently obligated to have the quote chat beforehand. Ooh. We are listening from the minds of the people who move like this, ladies and gentlemen. Let's continue. Now, context matters. If you explicitly discuss your health histories beforehand and a partner actively lied or withheld information when asked, it makes sense to feel upset about a breach of trust. Personally, I would always share my status if asked directly. Oh, there we go. There we go. There we go. Same mind frame, same thought process. That's baby. Same thought process. But from a purely physical health standpoint, with U equals U, undetectable equals untransmittable, the risk is zero. HIV is in this context is medically a non-issue for the negative partner. Somebody says, thank you. The cherry picking of hysteria is by default hysterical. One last one, and then I'm going to put this to bed. Well, not like that. Somebody says, I think an actual conversation needs to be had with the friend here. Friendship and relationships are built on trust. Healthy and open communication is part of that. How you two decide to move forward is up to both of you, not strangers on this board. So, I always say whether you think you may be undetectable, because let's be completely honest. You know that you're undetectable only for a short amount of time before, right? Because they go to their appointments, the appointments looks at the blood, and they don't go back to an appointment for another 3 months. So let's say that, and you could become detectable within just a couple of weeks, and you wouldn't know until you get a blood test, right? I know this to be true because I've studied this very, very well, and I used to be a healthcare provider for the community. Incredible Hulk says, chances of me getting hit by a lightning is near zero, but I'm not going outside with a metal rod and trying my luck. Absolutely. So let's say that the person went to their 3-month appointment, and at that appointment, they were told, congratulations, you are still in the running. You are undetectable. Great. Now this person is going out into the world, and, it's every 3 months that they get their checkups. It is now day number 87 of 90. 90 is 30 days, right? Day number 87. And because they live in this world of I'm undetectable, I'm untransmittable, they decide to sleep with somebody without telling them, right? And then day number 90 comes, they go to their appointment, and by day 95, they're told their results, which, oh, gee, there's been a spike. You are no longer undetectable. And we used to use this example, this exact example, when we were teaching these workshops and stuff like that in the community. Now what? Now what? Now what? Now all these people gotta be involved. These people gotta be worried. These two are worried. These people gotta be involved. Healthcare providers gotta be pulled in. Monitoring needs to happen. Perhaps a course of PEP, which is the emergency contraception for like 30 days. That makes people very sick and may or may not work. Like, all of this went down because you felt like you didn't need to tell anybody because, you don't want to feel the stigma. So I'm going to lie. I'm going to force somebody to sleep with me without me telling them. Fuck their feelings. They should have asked. No, you have the knowledge. You have the knowledge. So that's my view on that. I think that, if you're going to cross that line, it should always be, and you are affected like that, you should always disclose. It's unfortunate. We see people, even here on the internet, that get up and brag about, and I think, there's a lot of propaganda with like this, you equals you, all of that. No, they should be talking about being open and having communications with and not crossing them lines before you have a solid foundation and the people involved are understanding and know what they're getting themselves into. That's what the conversation should be. Not, oh, you equals you. You equals you is excellent, great. Thank you, Jesus, finally, some progress. But that doesn't mean not in you. That doesn't mean there's still a chance. You know what I'm saying? There's still, like, that doesn't mean it ain't no way in hell. Like, it doesn't. So that's my 25 cents on that. It is what it is. But anyway, I want to thank everybody who came through. Miss Viewers of You, we are going to withhold this until we see you on these streets. So we'll be back tomorrow. Hopefully you'll come through tomorrow and we can, fill you in on what it is that's going on. I want to thank everybody for coming through. Let me see. My husband, the Incredible Hulk, says, trying to normalize HIV is diabolical. Pretending is not that serious and noting nothing to worry about. It's crazy. And then blaming people for feeling ways and feeling like you don't have to tell people and all of that. That's a whole other thing. It's a whole other thing. And let me tell you something. My community has been affected, strongly affected by this, generations after generations. I remember talking to older gay men who said they lost whole communities in a matter of weeks and shit like that. So I understand that. I get it. But no, we're not going to act like, oh no, I don't have to tell anybody. No, it's not right. It's just not right. If there's a chance of somebody catching it from you, you should be disclosing. If people were more open about that, then they wouldn't have to come up with these slogans and like this whole propaganda and all of that. Anyway, with that said, I want to thank everybody for coming through. My VIPs, Miss Viewers of You, Naris21, my husband, the Incredible Hulk. Thank you for always supporting the mess. I will see you guys tomorrow. We do this every night. Every night we do this. See you guys tomorrow. Peace.